Evil Pixel.
Oftentimes, companies that are very successful in a certain endeavor travel towards other endeavors in order to expand their knowledge and experiences for growth. It isn't uncommon to see well-known companies do things out of the norm, especially in the video game department. These kind of things have been seen time and time again. Some made it through and overcame barrier differences to become heavy contenders in the video game industry, such as Sony and Microsoft. But in today's video, we'll be discussing a company that attempted to break through the console market with the Konix Multisystem. The Konix Multisystem was being developed by none other than the company Konix. Now, Konix was founded by Win Holloway in the late 70s. Konix began by developing joysticks for different consoles, and were quite good at it, with their unique styles and responsive controls. Now, after years of building joysticks and controllers, Konix wanted to move on to bigger and better things. In 1988, the people over at Konix began working on a peripheral to work along with their joysticks. The project was codenamed Slipstream. The Slipstream resembled a dashboard-style game controller and could be configured with a steering wheel, a flight yoke, and motorbike handles. Similar to an all-in-one type of thing, if you will. Now, it promised advanced features such as force feedback unheard of in home gaming consoles. After all the plans and ideas were laid out, it became very apparent that the ideas they had were of something much greater than just a peripheral, but a console of sorts. Konix also had a sister company that they worked alongside with called Creative Devices Ltd. Now, honestly, I couldn't find much about Creative Devices, but from what I did gather, they were analysts and developers of semiconductors, probe stations, and focused on microscopy and hardware development. Not sure how that played into the whole scheme of things, but Konix went to them with the idea to design a gaming computer to be put inside of the controller and make it a standalone console itself. It was shortly after this development began that Konix's founder and chairman, Win Holloway, came across a magazine article that described the work of a British group of computer hardware designers whose latest design was looking for a home. An interesting story told is that Holloway came across issue number 10 of Ace magazine on July 1988 that described a few British hardware designers wanting to look for funds of sorts for their new project. These hardware designers stepped away from the company Sinclair Research, whom created the ZX Spectrum computers. Now, their hardware used Flare technology, and their secret project was codenamed Flare 1. Now, Project Flare 1 had to strive a bit in order to keep up with the likes of the Commodore Amiga by utilizing 4 customized chips, which total into about 1 megabyte. Now, this 1 megabyte machine promised graphics of 256 colors on screen simultaneously, which handled 3 million pixels per second, and had a blitter chip that allowed vertical and horizontal hardware scrolling. Now, this Flare project was planning on releasing their console commercially throughout the US. However, their resources were lacking to mass produce their console. Now, this is when Holloway came in and proposed a merger of their Flare technology to help make a brand new, more powerful console. Now, in this console, Holloway proposed the hardware be built into the main controller. The group at Flare agreed with the merger, and the work began on July 1988, with the development work being carried out by Flare with assistance from British game programmer Jeff Minter. The people at Project Flare were specifically aiming their machine at the gaming market, skewing such features as 80-column text displays in favor for faster graphic handling. Now, this meant that in place of its 8-bit CPU, the system compared well against the 16-bit machines in the market at the time. It could move sprites and block graphics faster than the Atari ST under the 256 color conditions. Konix developers demanded that the new project to have very demanding specs and push the hardware and the developers to their limits. They insisted that the new project use a 16-bit processor, and so the very same processor from the Z80 was scrapped and opted for an 8086 processor, which was capable of much more at the time. Now, going back to Project Flare's customized 4 chips, these were reused for the new project. However, they managed to integrate all 4 into one large chip. And to help the company save some money, they decided to use 3.5-inch floppy disks for the console's media as opposed to the originally planned cartridges. Several games in development had a version produced for the Konix multisystem, including Vivid's image Hammer Fist. Some of the games planned for the Konix multisystem were Mr. Doe's Wild Ride, Tank Simulator, Eddie Edwards Sky Simulator, Star Ray, Star Glider 2, Vendetta, Sailing, Crazy Cars 2, Flight Simulator, Hammer Fist, and a few others. The Konix multisystem was revealed to the world on February 1989 at the Earl's Court Exhibition Center. Now on paper, the multisystem was absolutely phenomenal, as it had the ability to link with other multisystems to allow for multiplayer gaming, as well as some very top of the line tech, including a light gun, a power chair that was supposed to give gamers the feel of sitting down in an actual arcade chair for their planned games such as Afterburner and Outrun. The multisystem's final design catered to bringing the store arcades to consumers' home by using switches to stimulate gear shifts as well as pedals, which could be adjusted to the player's liking, and could have been set on the floor for your feet or on a desk for manual use. Now, one of the biggest advantages of the Konix multisystem was the price. It was revealed to be sold for about $250 US, considerably lower than the competitor's Amiga, which would have been around double that price at the time. By mid-year 1989, Win Holloway was getting ready to launch the Konix multisystem, boasting about the consumer anticipation, which stated in Germany alone 100,000 units were already pre-ordered to sell in the region. Holloway told Ace Magazine, "Our production capacity for the first year is already oversubscribed, so we have to limit the launch to the UK and Europe in the first instance, to make sure we can keep pace with the demand." Now, many of you may be asking what happened to the Konix multisystem. Well, a lot of it is mere hearsay, but many believe that the developers simply ran out of money. Holloway once stated that Lucasfilms had interest in buying out Konix and taking over the operations, as 1990 came along and still no Konix multisystem. Now, by March of 1990, the multisystem still hadn't appeared, and with the Games Machine magazine reporting that Konix had sold the rights to its range of joysticks, it was clear that the company had serious cash flow problems. In a separate interview, Holloway suggested that the market simply wasn't ready for the console. He stated, "When they don't want it, they don't want it. Our bankers just all of a sudden said, no, we can't support you anymore." And so it had been confirmed that money was the issue. Afterwards, it was also confirmed that the designs for the multisystems was later sold to a Chinese manufacturer, which released it as a controller for the PC. Now, it was speculated that the schematics for the Konix multisystems were an inspiration for the Super Nintendo CD, which led to the creation of the Sony PlayStation, but that is all hearsay. Now, in my own opinion, I don't really think this console would have done so well in the market, even though it did look good for the time. This console seemed to have been solely purposed for racing and vehicular games, given that it was based on a steering wheel peripheral, which honestly didn't really make sense, and I don't think it would have made sense with the normal consumers. And its more appealing features, such as that driving chair that I showed you guys, looked like it wouldn't have been cheap. It actually looks really intricate and kind of expensive. I mean, honestly, if I had to put a number on it, I would say that at the time it would have probably cost as much as the console itself, given how advanced it looks, based on the videos and pictures we were given. A lot of the games announced for it didn't seem promising either, nothing really eye-catching. And as many other people stated before, every console needs its Super Mario to catch the eye of the gamers, and this console just didn't seem to have it. Now, if the rumor of this thing inspiring Sony are true, then it definitely needs to be given its credit, as it does seem like they had spent a lot of time on this console. And that is what we know of the Konix multisystem. Now, really quickly, I just want to address our absence for about the last month or so. Just want to apologize to you guys for not uploading in the month of October, just because I was busy moving and getting everything together. But we will be back to our regularly one video a week or so schedule. Just wanted to thank all you guys for the support, and I appreciate you all tuning in. Check out some of our other videos if you'd like, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter and give us any suggestions for any future videos. Thank you guys, and I will catch you all next time.